plasma rejuvenation. 5-minute timer. Give red light to the dome, vitamin C, limited now it's safe. All the way from the start. Welcome to my off-grid cabin. Let's come on in. This is the Primo coffee setup. We have Italian grinder, good scale, vacuum sealed little jar with home roasted beans, freshly roasted. That's the Kawa home roaster. These are prototypes for MitoLife coffee. The setup, we got the tamper and the Italian La Marzocco espresso machine, which is a really good design. I've been through several espresso machines from recommendations from friends and ended up with this one. It's really easy to use, haven't had any issues. And this is the true way to drink coffee, and there's levels to it. When you start drinking coffee, a lot of people will start with drip coffee, French press. When you get into espresso shots, you're just at a whole nother level of quality with coffee. So this is how we started mornings after breakfast. I'll usually wait 20, 30 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling. Sometimes it's right after breakfast. I'll do about 2-ounce shots of freshly brewed espresso. I'll show you how I brew it here in a minute. Fresh espresso, frothed cream, MCT. This is the basic recipe, and then some maple, high quality maple syrup. And you stir it with the frother. And that's it. Cheers. And then usually later on in the day, I'll crack open one of these and enjoying the paraxanthine, which is a metabolite of caffeine. It has L-theanine, taurine, tyrosine, alpha-GPC, 5-HTP. Just a lot of great ingredients that I feel good on. Some days I'll go without this, but on a busy day like today, I'll pop one of these open. And then usually after breakfast, I'll go into here and pick out some supplements, and I'm always experimenting. Of course, I got the MitoLife, which are daily, so I'll start my day taking this on an empty stomach. And then vitamin E, got vitamin K2, B3, the magnesium, all sorts of different supplements, and then ones that I'm playing with. I mean, we got a whole supplement store here of things. And then come with me over here, show you the tub. Of course, in the bedroom, always have to have the air filter. So this is the Air Oasis air filtration unit, and pretty basic carbon filter and little fan, and it actually kicks out a couple different types of ions. So it's called bipolar ionization. And I like run this at night, and then you can actually black it out, which is kind of nice. So it turns off the UV bulb. And then here is the Lodestone tub. So this was a huge work in progress. It took about a year of work to get this up, but it's 1,000 pounds of lodestones, which took me just a long time to procure. And lodestones are magnetite that's been struck by lightning, so they're permanent earth magnets. I had these shaved down to be flat because they were just boulder shapes, and took a compass to each one because there's several poles on them, so north and south. So we pointed them to magnetic north, all of them. So every stone in here is aligned to the north, which is slightly this direction to make it more cohesive. Furthermore, in the grout, we put magnetite powder, shungite powder, and pyrite mixed into the grout. So in between each stone, it's all connected. And then we actually grounded the whole thing, so you can barely see the copper wire here, and that connects to a rod in the ground. We're on the second story, and that's a rod in the earth. So literally a ground rod, like how a house is grounded, but we grounded the tub. Fortunately, I didn't EMF shield this room, which would have been a big mistake. It's not EMF shielded, but we're in a magnetic chamber when you're bathing in this. So this is a regeneration chamber. It's natural magnetism versus magnetism with frequency. Like a lot of the PEMF devices out there use frequency with the magnetic field. This is just pure magnetic field, completely natural energy. It is pulsed. So I have a digital Gauss meter. If you take that to this, you'll see it pulse anywhere down, to 1 milligauss all the way up to 300 milligauss. And you move it around and it'll just be bouncing all over the place. And so this is kicking out what I've seen up to 300 milligauss, which is a really strong magnetic field. So we'll fill this with water, put in some shilajit, put in some magnesium. I used to do raw goat milk when I had goats, and just soak for as long as you can, generally about 45 minutes to an hour, and you really charge up. Especially the first time you use it, I really felt it, but after traveling, before traveling, I really use this to charge up my body. And it sounds esoteric. What do you mean charge up? Well, we are a battery. A human body is electrical before it's chemical. So to get electrons from bathing in this with the conductive water and the magnetism, you're basically giving your body raw fuel, or your mitochondria raw fuel to make energy, to heal. And Cleopatra slept on magnets. There's a lot of history to William Gilbert and the first compasses that used lodestone. It was, the start of magnetism started with these stones, lodestone. And again, magnetite's been struck by lightning. When it hits magnetite, it forms the lodestone, which is a permanent earth magnet. And it just has really unique properties. They've used it for hair loss, for infertility, for weakness. It's basically a strengthening type of energy with the magnetism. And that's why there's this big pull to PEMF therapy, because you get injured and you can really heal the body at a deep level using magnetism. So this was a game changer for my health. And again, this is way advanced. This is not a foundational thing by any means, but this was a dream for about 6 years of mine. And when I got here, I saw that it was spring fed. I saw that we had unlimited water with not only the rainfall, but the snow melt. Literally never run out of water here. So to have filtered spring water where, this takes 30 minutes to fill, but I don't have to feel bad about wasting water. We get guilted in the city. And with water conservation, there's none of that when you live in the mountains, because there's literally unlimited water. And the water I use, it gets right back into the earth, so you're not wasting anything. If you ever get a chance to experiment with lodestones, even carrying one with you while you're traveling, that's what I used to do. I even used to put it in the freezer to make it cold, because when you cool a magnet, it gets stronger, so you can get really crazy with this stuff. But just playing around with magnetism is something I recommend. Oh yeah, actually we'll go in this room here. This is the center bathroom, and all the lights in the house are these, which are from Blue Blocks. And what I like about them is there's 3 settings. So in the winter here, we don't get a lot of UV or bright light, so you can flip it each time. And this is a nice, orange glow for the nighttime, like a sunset setting. And then that's like midday, noonday sun. But this is kind of a softer white light. And at night, obviously if I come in here to use the bathroom, I'll just use the Gemba Red light strip here. And it's, nice, and highly recommend using one of these if you get up to go to the bathroom. That would still be super bright. I don't recommend it. I would just, learn where the switch is for this, and I'll just go over here and feel around in the pitch black and feel where it is and flip it on. And that's really nice if you have to go to relieve yourself in the middle of the night. So now we'll turn it on here, and what I got going on is the Blue Shield, kind of in a central location of the house. This is their new Evo version of their cube, their most powerful one. And then this is the Crucial 4 ozone machine. It's a little dusty, but we do use it, and I just keep the water attachment, which is an air stone attachment, similar to what you would see in like a aquarium with a bubbler. And I keep this in the mason jar just to keep it relatively, away from the cats and stuff. And whenever we make a salad, we'll wash the lettuce and then put it in a big bowl and drop this in. And I'll switch this on, which I can show you just a demonstration down here. 1/8 oxygen flow. And that's a little new Valsa gauge. And then now it's having oxygen running through it. And then I'll kick this on. And now it's running the pure oxygen through here, adding oxygen, making O3 or ozone. And yeah, I could actually kind of smell it. Not good to breathe it in, so I'll turn it off. And when we run that, we'll do the fan in the bathroom and shut the door. So if you're gonna do this, I highly recommend doing it in an enclosed location with an exhaust fan that blows out of the house, because when you get this into your lungs, it's happened to me, you cough for 20, 30 minutes and it's not fun, it's very irritating. It doesn't damage your lungs, just very irritating. And vitamin C was what I used to heal from that. So if I ever get ozone poisoning in my respiratory system, I'll just take a bunch of vitamin C and vitamin C will quickly alleviate it. So that's a good little trick if that happens to you. But I always have, this is a full oxygen tank, and I know because it's very heavy. So I always have one on standby, and this is from a welding supply store. And I used to do rectal ozone. That's great if you have an infection, if you have an intestinal problem. It's very quick. I mean, it's 10 minutes in the morning from start to finish and you're done before breakfast. I haven't done that for a while, but that's an incredible therapy you can use with this. Or in the other bathroom I have in the ears. So after a shower, you can run ozone gas through your ears, which is direct to the brain, which is really good, before a podcast, or if you just really need mental clarity. I always feel like euphoria from shooting ozone straight to my brain through my ears. Plus, I feel like I'm cleaning my ears out by putting ozone gas directly into it. So that's the 3 therapies I like. Ozonated water, which you can drink or clean your veggies with. The rectal ozone, which is kind of more hardcore. And then the ear insufflation. We got the bookshelf in progress. Got quite a few books that I've accumulated over the years. The late Dr. Cass Ingram, you can see I have almost all of his books right here. This is clumping. He had one on tree resins, which is very applicable to up here in the Pacific Northwest. I got really into pine and spruce resin, which tastes amazing, smells amazing, and is super medicinal. And actually one of his books, which I don't know if I could find here, I read in college, and it completely changed the way I looked at health, from Cass Ingram. So highly recommend circling back on his books, but a lot of great stuff there. So let's go upstairs here. We got the fish tank just for enjoyment, because you have to have hobbies outside of your career, otherwise you go crazy. So I enjoy aquariums. I have for many years, and that's just a fun meditation of maintaining the environment. And then we have this, it's the Therify. This device is really nice if I feel drained. This is my go-to to recharge. And actually when I over-donated blood, because I was buying into this religion of iron overload, I was really tired after my second blood donation. Like immediately after, when I got home, I just felt like vampire had sucked my essence away. So I laid on this and actually fell asleep. So if you're really tired, you can lay down on this massage table and recharge. So what this is, this was invented with Dan Winter and Paul Harris, their knowledge combined, and they created this really unique technology which uses plasma, high voltage plasma, that's safe to expose yourself to. And essentially this is the brains of the operation, this control unit, but it runs it through this coil. And so when you're laying on the massage table, you're right below this big copper coil, and this is kind of amplifying it and sending it up these wires where while it's turned on, if you touch those, it'll actually shock you. And if you hold a paper there, it'll actually start a fire. So this is not the safest setup. I mean, you really have to be careful if you have children, if you have pets. We have cats. So whenever I use this, I'm always listening for, if they start fighting around this or if they run it around. Ideally, you have this in an enclosed room, or you're just really aware if everyone's sleeping and it's safe to use. The good news is the session is only 12 minutes generally, so these can overheat. So they recommend you turn it on. I'll just do a little demo, and you could point at that and watch, and don't get too close because it might fry the equipment. But yeah, so and that'll emit an energy that you can't see with your naked eye, but if we get this UV light, it goes out to about here. Wow. So we're talking about wireless transmission of energy, and yeah, the closer you get, you can see the brighter it gets. And then on this side, so essentially what you do is, your head or your feet here, or vice versa. Let's just say hypothetically feet here, which is what I do, and I could actually just show you. So on here, set a timer, 12 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and you just go like this. And now I'm the conduit. So it's getting hit here and then traveling through, and so it's kind of like a river of plasma energy running through my body. And you could be wearing a belt, you could have, metal on you, it doesn't really matter. Like a lot of other devices, you have to be careful. But it's kind of hard to describe. People have said that they have immediate vision improvement. So if you find this in clinics, 3 minutes could be a dosage of it. Like it's just very, very quick. 12 to 15 is what I prefer, but you have to have a cool down period because those will heat up tremendously because it's a lot of energy going through those. Not a lot of electricity, so this is off-grid friendly. Barely uses any electricity, but it's just high voltage. And it's running that high voltage through neon gas that's contained in these. And when neon gas is energized, like a lot of noble gases, argon, neon, used in the Edgar Cayce violet ray, which I really like, there's properties to it. So for example, argon emits UV, and UV has a whole suite of benefits that are beyond vitamin D as far as killing pathogens and such. And so neon has specific health benefits with the frequency, but also just the neon itself has very specific properties for health. People have used this for cancers over the years. People have used this for headaches, for fatigue, any kind of issue. And the way that Dan, I'm just going to turn it off in case the video or audio starts to get altered. And Dan Winter, he talks like an extraterrestrial.
The golden mean ratio is the solution to constructive wave interference, and therefore constructive compression, and therefore implosive compression. And we now know the compression of charge is how you create matter out of light.
He talks a lot about how there's a specific spin to our cells, and when the spin starts to go the opposite direction, energetically, that's where we get disease. So he's really big into fractal energy, into spin, and there's something to that. Obviously there's vitamins, minerals, enzymes, there's the whole biochemistry part, but obviously there's an electricity energetic component, and that's what this stuff is for. So if you ever get a chance to use the Therify, I use it every day. It's a very low time investment, which is why I enjoy it, 12 minutes, and it just feels like a deep recharge. Especially if I'm driving long distance, I've expended a lot of energy, if I've just been talking a lot. It's just a really great way to charge up, and there's only so many words that can explain how it feels to sit in between this. People have said they felt warmth in their head, headaches have dissipated, just felt a sense of calm and peace. Of all the energetic technologies, the Royal Rife machines that I've used, the PEMF, all the other energetic things, the scalar technology I've played with, this is by far the most profound. Between this and the violet ray, these two plasma technologies are by far my favorite. The violet ray is more topical, direct application. This is more systemic. It's really hitting your organs, it's hitting every system in your body, and rebalancing the entire system. Huge fan of the Therify. They have this around the world if you have a chance to use it at clinics. So We'll go over here to the, this is the old, so I'm always experimenting. This is the old litter box. You know, we're big cat lovers. And there's the Pet Snowy, the door's on the opposite side. It's fully enclosed, which the cats don't generally like because they just don't feel safe. What I've found is they much prefer this design. And so I'm using a little makeshift step stool for them. But if you have cats, you have to have an automatic litter box. It's just completely necessary. Otherwise, it's just too much work. And it just basically rotates it after they go to the bathroom, and it dumps it in there. And this one uses UV light to sterilize it, carbon filter, and there's no smell. Well, obviously until you open that. So, and then there's the UV light, which is great in the winter, not only for vitamin D, but for mitochondrial enhancement. The benefits of ultraviolet go way beyond vitamin D synthesis. So this is the Elios light from Italy, and it was a lot more expensive than the Sperti light, but what we're talking about here is narrow band UV. So I'll do a little demonstration. So it has a 1 minute, 2.5 minute, or 5 minute timer. And these are just basic Philips bulbs. They're not super hard to find, but UVA, UVA, UVB, UVB. So there's, within the UV spectrum, there's A, B, and C. The B is what makes your vitamin D synthesis. The UVC is more for sterilization surfaces. UVA has specific health benefits that are underappreciated. So I really like not just UVB, but having the more full spectrum of the UVA and the UVB. But what's cool about this is it's 311 nanometers. So it's called narrowband ultraviolet irradiation, which has been used specifically to treat psoriasis and other conditions, skin conditions, I think even hyperpigmentation and a lot of skin conditions. I was raised with acne and eczema, which obviously there's a zinc deficiency there, there's a vitamin C deficiency, there's a vitamin A deficiency, there's a lot of deficiencies, vitamin E. There's a lot of components going on with pimples and acne, and it was just frustrating growing up with it. Now that I know about all this stuff, now I understand it's a mixture of light therapy, red light and UV, and nutrition. And you could really improve your skin quality even without topical products. When you add it all together, I mean, you're talking about anti-aging for your skin. Here's a necessary part of health for me is the bidet, and I've had this for years. It's called the Lotus bidet. And one, it cuts down on toilet paper, but two, you can only wipe so clean when it's dry. And yes, you could wet the toilet paper, but most people are not using, bamboo toilet paper. We only buy bamboo. Just, there's the environmental side, but more so there's the, phthalate side. You don't want to be rubbing your anus with plastics. We have enough, chemicals, and prostate cancer is very common in men. That's almost a given as men get older. And so anything to prevent that risk for prostate cancer, supplementation really helps reduce your risk of prostate cancer, but also having a bidet is incredible. So I have one upstairs and one downstairs, and this is the Lotus. It's my favorite brand. No financial affiliation. You can get them on Amazon, and it's been a real game changer for my health, especially if you get into rectal ozone or enemas. You really need a bidet to keep it super clean and sanitary. So if you come back through here, here's the humidor, which I've had this for years. It's the New Air humidor, and it has a little thermostat in there. So generally I'll keep it 68, and then there's the humidity gauge, and it's about 70% humidity. And I use these little packs. This one's actually done, the Boveda pack. They use these in the cannabis industry, two-way humidity control. Once they get hard, generally you take them out, and this one's still good, kind of mushy. And I keep stocked on cigars. You can see I have some pretty unique ones. And these are an anti-parasitic. Tobacco smokers have less parasites, that's a fact. Tobacco smokers have less Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Tobacco, the nicotine in tobacco mimics acetylcholine in the brain. It prevents neurodegeneration. It is medicinal. Now, carbon monoxide and the cadmium and any smoke obviously hitting your mouth and especially your lungs is not good, but look up ascorbic acid, vitamin E smokers and to start reading all those studies on PubMed, and you'll be amazed at how vitamin C, you take a smoker and you take a non-smoker, and the smoker takes vitamin C every day, and not a huge amount, like 200 to 400 milligrams. And they have the same health, the same risk for lung disease, for atherosclerosis, for all the disease associated with, throat cancer associated with smoking, same risk as a non-smoker, just because they take ascorbic acid, vitamin C. So is it a deal breaker for your health if you smoke? Not necessarily, as long as you're taking vitamin C and vitamin E, which are the major antioxidants for your body. Vitamin C supports glutathione. Vitamin C regenerates vitamin E. Vitamin C is water soluble, vitamin E is fat soluble, and they both work together to support your antioxidant system. And the main thing with smoking is, it's your arteries. That's the damage from smoking. It's not necessarily happening right here. It's down in your system. So vitamin C and vitamin E will prevent that. So I generally smoke maybe 3-4 cigars a week. It varies. Sometimes I get so busy that I'll just forget and I'll go a week or two or even a month without smoking. Sometimes I'll do a stretch where it's daily for several weeks or months. I found a study, 2 cigars a day, no increase in all-cause mortality. And then you add supplementation to that, probably even better, I would say a reduction in all-cause mortality. So a very underrated medicine. Everyone has parasites, even microscopic ones. Do live blood analysis, look at your blood before and after a cigar, and you will see that it cleans it up. Nicotine is an insecticide. It's effective against all sorts of different parasites. I mean, that's another thing you do. PubMed, nicotine parasites, and check that out. Got the Saluma. This is in the winter. I use the full body, which this is one of the most hardcore light therapy machines out there. And they use this at esthetician spas. So for hardcore skin treatments. And what's nice is it's flexible and it pulses. So if you look at the bottom here, there's 3 settings: acne, wrinkles, and aches and pains. I'll generally just do the acne one, which each one just activates different LEDs in this. There's hundreds of LEDs, and there's blue ones, there's green ones, there's red, and there's infrared. But I find in the winter, if you live in a northern latitude, the blue LEDs make me feel amazing. Not only in the eyes, at my office desk, but I'll lay under this naked on the massage table for 30 minutes and turn around like a rotisserie, and I feel charged up. Like I feel really, really good. Like I just, sunbathed essentially. So that's that. And then this is, I'm always playing with a new device. So this is a neurofeedback device that I just got that I've been playing around with called Sense AI. And it's a very unique machine where you can actually see the little lights on here. So it uses photobiomodulation on your head, but it'll actually read your brain waves while it's doing it. But the main use of this is you wet these 3 points and you put it on with the app and you play these games, and it'll basically make sounds as it's reading the voltage potential between those points. And you could really make progress with depression, anxiety, brain fog, any kind of neurological stuff, but also just if you're doing okay in those departments, optimize brain function as far as memory, concentration, just mental RAM, that improves it. And this is the little thing that connects with it. And one of the games I played is it's arrows. It's very quick response times. So you're wearing that and you have to click whether the arrow is pointing left or right. And they use technology like this in a lot of brain healing centers that are really advanced. But now we have at-home systems. So I've interviewed the NeuroOptimal guy. They call that brain training, not neurofeedback, because there's all this legality around it where you have to be careful. But I've really been enjoying this. It gets a lot of flack. You'll look at their ads and people are like, BS, it's so expensive, blah, blah, blah. I think this is actually, it's 1/10 of the cost of Neurooptimal. And for what you get, I've been really, really impressed. So I'll probably be interviewing those guys. And then what else? This is my office setup. I have the chroma light. So this is long wavelength blue light. And this is really nice on a gloomy day. Sometimes I'll have it on for the start of a podcast for the first half. And it has a band around it of infrared that you can't see. But on a gloomy day, today we have sun, fortunately, but on gloomy days, this is a game changer, especially at noon for waking me up. I use this really heavily in the winter. A huge fan of the chroma light. It's called the Sky Portal. And the idea was to mimic the sun in intensity, or at least get somewhat close to the intensity of the sun. And then this is the Gemba red light, which at night doesn't look bright now, but at night this will light up half the room. And I'll turn that on if I'm doing office work where it's 9-10 p.m. or it's late at night and the sun's down. Kleenex for squashing bugs, so we have stink bugs around here. And then this, I always like to inhale something at my desk, so I have the Nano V, which you can look up interviews with them. The studies are intriguing where they're talking about optimizing protein folding, and this is heavily promoted by popular biohackers, which always makes me question the integrity of the technology, but I've been playing around with it for a couple, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and feel pretty good from it. So essentially what you do is you put filtered water in here, there's a little bubbler, and this emits a frequency of red light, infrared light, which creates structured water. And they've shown this in European studies, and it's not like studies like these energetic devices. They've had like a ton of studies on this, and you put it there, it'll turn on, and you basically put this nasal cannula in, and I'll just be doing office work, and you get a 20-minute treatment is what they showed. And they've shown in conjunction with hyperbaric therapy, there's a benefit. And this is one of the more advanced things, like a lot of things I'm showing you, the Therify, this, this is not where you start with your health. It's just somewhere I've gotten because I'm 10 years in, 13 years in, where this sort of stuff like multitasking, why not? And at my desk, I've tried a molecular hydrogen inhalation, and that's another thing that you could try. If you think this is BS, well, breathing hydrogen gas is another thing that I used to do that I think is very effective, whether you do this or that. And then at my desk, often I'll wear this, which is a photobiomodulation helmet, and we'll see if we got power, and we don't because it's not plugged in. And then let's see, got to plug in both. Has some cool music. And this is Weber technology, and this is a company, this is made in Germany, Weber Medical. Low power, 15 watts, but there's all these LEDs in here, so I'll do a 30-minute session, and all the other ones are infrared, so you can see the visible ones, but all the rest are on. You just can't see them with the naked eye, and it looks, and you look like a Spaceballs character or something, and I'll just be writing on the computer with this. And I was really skeptical when I got it. I actually wasn't using it as often as I should. Now I'm using it usually once a day for 30 minutes, and I really do feel the effect. A lot of people use this for hair loss prevention or treatment. If you catch it quick enough, you can prevent hair loss. I generally look at my family and study them to see my future because that's my genetics. And my dad, he has a lot of his hair, but there's still, kind of a bald area, which a lot of men get in their latter years. I think we could prevent that, especially with zinc and copper balance and with transcranial, photobiomodulation to the head. If you don't want to do this, because this is an expensive way to do it, it is beneficial because it's bent, it's close to your head, but if you have the square or little handheld panels, you could just, you can lay on it or whatever, and it's just, you want to hit that area as close as you can, and you will get the benefit. So I think this is optimal because you could be at your desk, you could be doing other stuff, If you do the panel, you have to lay on the couch and just kind of, sit there during the treatment. Very effective. Red light to the dome for mood, depression, anxiety, memory, brain function overall. They found that it increases mitochondrial biogenesis, so the amount of mitochondria, the healthier mitochondria, so much. I mean, red light therapy and light therapy in general, whether it's UV, blue light, any kind of light therapy, you just have to know how and when to apply it. And if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the red and infrared light, which you think about it, living up here in northern latitude in the winter, there's not any UV, there's not any infrared, we're not getting a lot of light in general. So that's why I have a lot of light devices set up to hit my eyes, to hit my skin, to hit my brain, just to keep me feeling good throughout the winter. So continue going over here, and we have the PEMF. So this is from my friend Brandon Amalani, and this is the ARC system. It stands for Advanced Resonant Charge. And this is a really unique system because it's lightning in a box, as he calls it. It's an analog system that is different from all the other PEMF devices out there. It's more of an old school design. It actually creates ozone when it's on. So I'm going to flip it on here. And right now we have it connected to, I can find out on this thing, which is my favorite attachment. And this is another thing to use when you're on the computer, and I could stack it with the helmet and that breathing device if I wanted to go crazy. But I'll turn up the pulse rate, and you can see it's actually pretty powerful. So it's like a magnetic massage. And I have it up way too high, so even like that, it should be comfortable. It does cause muscle contraction. It's even hard to lift my arms right now. But the slower the pulse rate, the more intense. And the faster the pulse rate, you don't even feel it, but it's still the same intensity. And the fast pulse rate would be if you're hitting the brain. And again, same with, I'm big into brain health, as you can tell, there's a theme here. So mood stuff, energy stuff, brain fog, which I got long COVID, so I've been really hitting the brain hard myself, all sorts of stuff. And this is a great brain treatment. I'll just do this on the high or the fast pulse rate. But if I went slow, it would actually bounce my brain around, which I felt for a second as I was passing this over my head. So you have to be careful with this technology. You only do it once, and then you realize you don't want to be jostling your brain around with the slow pulse rate. But if it's around your neck like this, turn it down to slow, you'll hear that clicking. And if you want to take it off, you either turn it off or I'll just turn it up, and then now it's safe to put back over my head. So what's cool is all these were hand designed in the US by a leather worker, custom, built in the US. This is not private label, it's not Chinese, this is engineered from scratch, which we did with the water filter. I really respect that approach. And so different attachments. This is the half body attachment to hit your torso, which is really nice for back pain. We got the dual probe, which is, you can kind of sandwich, there's the Velcro here, which makes it a lot easier, but you can attach them together at the top and then kind of sandwich, different, your elbow, whatever you have issues. There's the single probe, and then there's a whole little area over here with, I haven't gotten into too much. There's a rope where you could literally wrap your torso in it, and this will emit a magnetic field. It's just pretty intense. And he was just trying to get really unique. And then there's the full body mat here, which I haven't taken out, which is just a lot of space. I'm kind of short on space here in the cabin. Got the massage chair. This is really nice to use because we're pretty far from town. So to get a massage from a machine is more practical than driving in a masseuse. It's very expensive, or driving to town, very time intensive. So this is the Brio Sport, and I'm in love with it. You put your feet in there, it really hits arms, feet, legs, hands, neck, back, thighs. It really hits the tailbone, which is kind of scary, but that's generally where I keep a lot of tension with all the sitting. And it really massages around the tailbone and that, pelvic region, which to me just really removes a lot of like psychological stress. I just feel like immediately calmer because I hold a lot of tension in my lower back and kind of neck, so highly recommend if you live, well, really for anybody, but get the massage chair like this. And they're generally all the same, especially in this price point. When you get to the crazy ones, I haven't used them. I'm sure there's more bells and whistles, but it's essentially just motors and rollers moving around inside there. So if we move over here, well, I have the red light machine I haven't set up yet from Gemba Red. That's pretty high powered, but LEDs, so off-grid friendly. Since we don't have, we're not on the grid here. And I hang this generally from a door and stand in front of it after a shower or whatever. And 5 minutes front and back, something like that. Then this thing is the little nap area. This is a Lucia light. With a lot of things, I actually stop using them for a while and then I come back to them. And this is one of those things that I've really appreciated, especially if I'm underslept and not getting, a full night of REM sleep, rapid eye movement, then this is really nice to recharge the brain. And what it does is it's called hypnagogic light. And I had a podcast on this, but you lay under it and you choose a session. And I'm just going to do, I'll do the DMT one just for which I never do, but just for demonstration's sake. And you lay under it and you shut your eyes and you can see it'll start solid and then it will start flashing. And with your eyes shut, it's really interesting because you'll see a lot of geometry, you'll see a lot of shapes, and it's your brain creating these images. But what I found is it induces rapid eye movement. So my combination with this is the Apple headphones, the over-the-ear headphones, the Max headphones, real subliminal. So subliminal messages on an app for 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes under this, you can see it blinking, and that's, it's way more intense when your eyes are shut underneath it. And you lay there with your eyes shut, especially with subliminal messages, and I've fallen asleep, especially doing a deep calm one, because these subliminals are saying you're getting relaxed, you're relaxed and calm during this, and about 60% of the time I'll knock out and I'll wake up and it's already done, and I'm still getting the benefit from this. I'm still getting the benefit of subliminal, just basically fast forwarded through with a nap. So it's a very, very unique experience, and I just came up with that combo myself, realizing that this is probably a good match for subliminal messages with it. And so you can see here with all the different programs, so it shows the intensity and the brightness level for all of them. And right now we're doing, I think, DMT3 for demonstration, which is the most intense one, which is supposed to simulate a dimethyltryptamine experience. But I mean, there's everything on here, near-death experience, even LSD. I mean, there's ones beyond drugs. So we're completely off grid here. This is the water setup, which we don't have to fear ozone and oxygen therapy. It looks like someone's been doing a lot of cocaine in here, but there's actually salt. This is a failed experiment, which I can talk about.